whenever he's unhappy, he melts down and he explodes on Twitter. It is odd behavior for a grown man. It is more something you would expect to see in romper room. That typically you don't throw your toys on the floor and stomp when you don't win.
Ted Cruz heard earlier right here on the Hard Line. Now, he may be the immediate choice of Republicans to challenge for the presidency, but this is one state, a relative thimble full of voters and opponents on the left, publicly salivating at the chance to take on Ted Cruz. New Hampshire beckons, and Ted Cruz is not garnering the lion's share of attacks. Well, at least he wasn't until late today. And here we go. Let's begin there in this edition of The Political Animal. We will get a mention of the words Trump and Nobel Prize in the same sentence before we're done. That's scary. First up, he deals from the left as CEO of Bannon Communications, Brad Bannon. She deals from the right as senior contributor at the Federalist, D.C. McAllister. Welcome in, and here we go. This has been an entertaining day, to say the least. You just heard the comments from Ted Cruz, who is basically calling Donald Trump nothing more than a resident of romper room today. Donald Trump has come out. He has accused Ted Cruz of fraud in Iowa. He wants a new election. Sarah Palin has gone off on her Facebook page calling Ted Cruz a liar. D.C., come to you first. We're not even at New Hampshire yet. We got a couple of days to go, and here maybe we thought that some of the gutter sniping was going to stop after Iowa. It's just getting worse now.
Politics is a blood sport, and we're definitely seeing it today, aren't we? Ted Cruz is the target, and Marco Rubio as well. And they're going to go after him. He took over Iowa. It doesn't mean he's going to win the nomination, but he has momentum, and they want to cut that momentum in half. And they just want to be able to get their numbers up and bring him down in any way they can. And Ted Cruz is going to come out fighting.
But doesn't this look like, and I've heard some people say this already today from Donald Trump's side, this just looks like a desperate man who lost, a braggadocio who basically is flailing about, saying that he's going to basically sue Ted Cruz's human assimilation sitting device off, and that the Democrats may come after him and sue him if he wins the election, and that he wants fraud charges now. Come on, D.C., this is getting a little ridiculous now, isn't it?
It is that humble moment that we saw from Trump after the election in Iowa at the caucus. That didn't last very long, and he just has come out fighting, and this is how Donald Trump fights. This isn't anything new. He wields lawsuits and insults, and this is just the way he goes. It's nothing new for him.
Brad, here's now from the left. I have talked to friends today who, as all of these little things have come out, they have said, yes. They seem to be celebrating every single time some of this happens, because they say it takes everything away from Hillary, it takes everything away from Bernie in the fight right now, and we can't wait to face these people.
Well, I'm one of those people, actually. You talk, Senator Cruz compared Trump to being in the romper room with the little kids. Chris Christie today accused Marco Rubio of being a bubble boy.
Okay, hang on one sec. I want you to stay right there because we happen to have that little piece of video here. Here it is.
We know who the boy in the bubble is up here, who never answers your questions, who's constantly scripted and controlled because he can't answer your questions. So when Senator Rubio gets here, when the boy in the bubble gets here, I hope you guys ask him some questions. It seems to me that he should have to sit across from you and answer your questions the way I do. And you, and you, and you. And he hasn't.
Brad, we may make fun of this sometimes, but hasn't Donald Trump proven to us already that this kind of stuff works when it comes to the voters? They react.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit, Ed. It didn't work in Iowa. Trump had a big lead, but during the course of the last week, it just slowly drifted away. So I think it works sometimes, but if you overdo it like Donald Trump does, it's going to come back and kick you in the butt.
All right, D.C., then what are we to think about New Hampshire? Because we're already told that Donald Trump has a big lead in New Hampshire, same as we were told in Iowa, by not every poll, but a lot of polls. But Ted Cruz had that evangelical support in Iowa. Many people say there's no way that he's going to get that kind of support in New Hampshire, and he likely will lose there.
He likely will lose. He's not going to get that kind of support in New Hampshire. But I do want to make a point. And Donald Trump is up by a lot in New Hampshire, and he has been. He wasn't up by much in Iowa. And just a week before that, Ted Cruz was up. So that lead was a little shaky to begin with. So it's not like Trump had this massive lead that he lost. But he wasn't expected to win. And I don't even think Trump expected to win. But in New Hampshire, he does expect to win. And if Trump were to lose New Hampshire, that would be huge. But I really don't think Ted Cruz is going to pull away there. He might, but I doubt it. He does have a lot of the evangelical vote, which is going to bode strong for him in the southern states.
So is all this going to help Marco Rubio?
Yes, it could. He's taking votes, I think, away from Donald Trump. So it all depends on how the other establishment candidates, what they do in the race. If they drop out, that's going to bode well for Marco Rubio.
All right, so Brad, let's look at it then from the left, because as we're still coming up to New Hampshire, there's the thinking that Hillary Clinton's already lost. I mean, I've heard some people say, make a token appearance in New Hampshire, show up, but head for South Carolina now, because that is going to turn the tide for her against Bernie Sanders. Yes or no?
Well, I think Senator Clinton is right. She is going to get beat in New Hampshire by Bernie Sanders. Remember, New Hampshire borders on Vermont, so Bernie Sanders is the hometown boy. But the reality is, once you go past Iowa and New Hampshire, you're going to states like South Carolina and Texas and Nevada and others with large Black and Latino populations. And Hillary Clinton, because of her association with her husband, is very strong there. Blacks and Latinos worship Bill Clinton, and it's rubbing off on Hillary.
10 seconds, real quick, Brad. Rand Paul is gone. Rick Santorum gone. Any effect?
No, it's no point in arguing about where their supporters went because they don't have any supporters. That's why they dropped out.
DC, you agree with that?
Well, they have some. It's going to matter. I think that Rand Paul supporters will probably gravitate to Cruz.
That is going to be interesting now. All right. We will wait and watch. And we didn't even talk about the fact that somebody nominated Donald Trump for a Nobel Prize. That's a story for another day. DC McAllister and Brad Bannon, thank you so much for joining us. Now, he might have been the smartest guy in the room, and Rand Paul's departure could be a death knell for libertarianism. Next on The Hardline.